Hey, film fans. My name is David, and this is Film Collector Archive. And today is, we'll call this a special report. I've got my good buddy Tony from Basement Blues here with us. Hi, Tony.
Hey David, how you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for jumping on here and recording this. This was kind of a short notice thing. You and I were chatting yesterday, and thought it would be good to get this video done sooner rather than later. So thanks for the short for jumping on with such short notice.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
So why are we filming this video? So yesterday there was a kind of a bombshell announcement from Criterion, and I didn't believe it when I saw it. I thought it was absolutely fake news. But Criterion announced a new partnership with, we'll call it Disney Pixar, and they announced for November 22nd of this year the 4K UHD release of the Pixar film WALL-E, directed by Andrew Stanton. This happens to be my favorite Pixar film. WALL-E is it's kind of a tiebreaker, or it's kind of a tie for me between WALL-E and Toy Story.
Yeah.
But what was your initial reaction when you saw this crazy announcement?
Well, I'm always seeing fake cover art for different things, and that was my first reaction, was thinking, oh, somebody made a fake Criterion announcement for Wally. But when I found out it was true, I was amazed. I thought that was really good news.
Yeah, I mean this, and we can talk about this more in a second, but this opens the door to a significant amount of possibilities.
Hmm.
And I want to acknowledge at this point, I mean, it's really conjecture to say, oh, this is going to happen or this is going to. I mean, we have one title. I'm sure this is kind of a test title to see how
Hmm.
this might work out, but we can talk more about that.
Yeah, well, I think
Um,
that the internet blew up yesterday. That I think that the test is going to be pretty positive with the release of Wally. It looks like everybody seemed to be very interested in that.
yeah. So and I've seen. Yeah. I mean, we might as well just go ahead and jump into it. I mean, I saw some polarizing reactions to it. And of course, you're always going to get the reaction of, does this belong in the Criterion Collection? Which I always kind of hate that argument, because I don't think the Criterion Collection has ever been
Mm-mm.
in this little, square box that they have to kind of fit in, and that's all that they release. Now, I will say though, the animation has been a little bit of a weak spot for Criterion,
Oh yeah, definitely.
or maybe a lot of a weak spot for Criterion, and
Yeah,
so that was the other big part of this for me, is it's a big nod to animation, and not only animation, but a really highly commercialized animated film.
right.
But I think within the Pixar uh, slate of films, or however you want to say that, just kind of in the Pixar universe, I feel like WALL-E is probably
Yeah.
um, the best fit for Criterion. If I had to pick one film, and
Mm.
yes, I know it's my favorite Pixar film, but it deals with some kind of really big universal issues,
Yeah.
and kind of issues about humanity, and so I think in that sense it's kind of a good candidate right
Yeah.
there. But
Because I was thinking about the other Pixar films, and really none of them would have fit as well as what Wally does. So I think
yeah,
that was a good decision on their part.
yeah, and there's definitely, I don't know, for me, I mean, there's other titles I can think of within their library uh that certainly now I'd like to see in the collection, seeing that's that door's been opened. But WALL-E did seem kind of like maybe the more obvious
Yeah.
choice out of that library of films. Um, so in recent, I don't know, what are we now? A couple, 2, 3 years maybe in on the relationship between Criterion and Netflix.
Hmm.
And they've even released at least one film from Amazon Studios, and now with a Disney Pixar deal the future of which is unknown at this point on how this will kind of blossom. But this
Yes.
isn't Criterion's first foray into signing a deal with kind of some more commercial type facing brands.
Right. Right.
Was it a similar feeling for you, like when they opened up with Netflix, for instance?
Yeah, I think so. I think that a lot of people were surprised about that.
Yeah,
Um, but I think more people are really surprised just as far as Disney. You think of Disney and Pixar as such a big franchise, the ownership of it, just letting some of that available, having someone else have that availability for that
yeah.
seems almost out of the ordinary for them.
It, yeah, and I was really surprised when they announced the Netflix partnership. I was really happy about that because we have films like The Irishman and Marriage Story, and we've got Sound of Metal coming out soon, and so these are now Sound of Metal. I haven't seen. I love The Irishman, and I love Marriage Story.
Mhm.
Just to name a couple from that partnership, but
Uncut Gems.
oh, Uncut Gems from A24.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
that's another, yeah, that's a great point actually, because A24, that door opened because of Uncut Gems, which we got, of course, the 4K release. So the Safdie brothers, even within just the Safdie brothers, they have some other films that I think people would be really excited about.
Yeah.
Good Time, I think would be,
I would love that to get a Criterion release.
yeah, with Robert Pattinson. And I mean, we recently got an amazing 4K release of The Witch from Second Sight.
Mhm.
So maybe not that, for
Right.
Criterion, because we got a perfect release, in my opinion,
Oh, yeah.
from Second Sight on that one. But um, you know, 20th Century Women, I think would be great. Lady Bird, I think would be
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, there's definitely some A24 films that would fit the bill for
Right.
sure. Um, but what I'd like to do is turn our attention to the current deal that seems to be made, and the details of which obviously we know nothing. But now that we have WALL-E coming to the collection, I want to open up the conversation with you on what titles uh, you might like to see come to the collection, from the Disney
Right.
library. So
Well, well,
we've got a few picked out each here. So if you want to maybe just kick us off here.
so my first thought when I heard this announcement, and then me and you had kind of just went back and forth about what would be some other good titles, on our phone conversation, my mind immediately went to the Disney Treasures line and
Oh yeah,
some of the great classic stuff that they have available. So I thought, maybe have some kind of partnership with Leonard Maltin involved. But I was thinking something to do with like classic Mickey shorts, just a whole collection of all the Mickey shorts that they have available, doing some kind of nice set for that. I know that a lot of people, we have a DVD of this stuff. So to me, I
yeah.
think having some sort of better scan of these, which I think would look excellent, would be something really good to have in the Criterion collection. Just everybody knows who Mickey Mouse is, and I think everybody would be real appreciative of having a really nice set that had a majority of the classic shorts in it.
I agree, and I think preservation on those animated shorts is
Oh yeah,
is is critical. And yeah, you and I are both lucky enough to have the complete Walt Disney Treasures collection on
right.
our shelves. And I didn't even, with my stack here, I didn't even go there because I don't, to have those come to the collection and get restorations and whatnot. I don't know if I even dare think about that because I'd get a little bit too excited.
Yeah,
Too excited. But that's a fantastic point. And then some kind of inclusion of, yeah, Leonard Maltin maybe
yeah,
doing some kind of project would be amazing.
yeah. I can picture something really large, like some of the bigger, large box sets that they've done. Um, you think about anyways, there's so many things that they could do with packaging and actually have several discs available and just include every single Mickey short that there is, black and white and color. I think would
Mm-hmm.
be excellent. Silly Symphonies,
Mm-hmm.
all those great titles.
Yeah, that would be outstanding. You know, and while we're on the topic of the Disney shorts and kind of the you know, the Disney library,
Mhm.
I heard someone comment on social media today, and this is another thing that I'm like, oh man, I don't. Granted, we didn't ever see Disney Pixar coming to Criterion at all,
Never.
but someone commented on maybe this is going to finally open the door for Song of the South coming to disc.
I still don't. I still wouldn't expect that. Would you?
No, that would be if I had to pick a title, the least likely to come to Criterion.
Mm-hmm.
It would be Song of the South. So I'm not.
I don't see anybody ever touching that again. Do you?
I don't, but just taking all of that away and just thinking who would be a good candidate
Mm-hmm.
to do a restoration and a presentation of Song of the South, why not Criterion?
Yeah,
You
true.
know, but we'll shelve that for now because that we'll put that under impossible
Right.
pretty much. Um,
Which, of course, we thought Disney Pixar was impossible for the Criterion Collection, so they may
yeah,
surprise us someday. Who knows?
we live in a crazy world where we're all of a sudden getting Wally on the Criterion Collection. So, um, okay, so I'm gonna go my first title here, and I'll just be quick with these comments. But where my mind immediately went was with the first fully animated feature-length film, and that is, of course, Snow White.
Right.
Um, I think this is a great candidate. Now we have this really nice. This is the Walt Disney Signature
Yeah.
collection. You know, this is
That
the
really
Target.
drives me crazy because of a blank spine. I mean, please. You know?
Yeah, the blank spine. I thought I had a manufacturer defect when I first got this,
Everybody had it, right?
and I looked at unboxings on YouTube way back when I picked this up, and sure enough, it's blank. But this is not only a you know, high mark in animation, but I think just in film history,
Yeah.
Snow White holds a really important place in um, just in cinema history. And so I feel like you know, Snow White would really kind of fit that, you know, something that's culturally important,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that kind of changed the game. I mean, this really
Yeah. First full
kind of
animated film.
yeah, so this kind of
Disney.
meets that criteria. So I would say Snow White for my first pick.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
So what do you got?
My other thought my other thought, of course, went to the Fantastic Fox, then Fantastic Mr. Fox and the stop motion animation. And so my mind kind of went toward The Nightmare Before Christmas just because of the style of it. So you had the same idea,
Yeah,
but I could definitely see something like this. I know Fantastic Mr. Fox was so well done, but
yeah,
so was this. This right here is a landmark type film also. So
absolutely.
I think that would be something I would definitely be interested in seeing, something like that.
Well, I think, you know, in just the work of Tim Burton. Now, Henry Selick directed the film, but of
Right.
course, it's based off of the poem by Tim Burton.
Yeah.
And I think definitely, you know, Tim Burton is, you know, quirky enough, strange enough, you know, kind of off center enough that you know, that it'd be a good candidate for Criterion. But yeah, my mind absolutely went to almost for the same reason, partially the same reason why I picked Snow White was this is kind of a game changer in animation.
Mm-hmm.
And well, now this isn't animation proper. This is, you know, stop motion animation. But yeah, certainly looking at Fantastic Mr. Fox, I'm hoping that we still have, you know, Isle of Dogs coming from
Yeah.
Wes Anderson to the collection. But yeah, certainly Nightmare Before Christmas, and you know, one of the his short film Frankenweenie has always come as an extra feature on these releases
Right.
of this film, and so I'd like to see that, you know, included
Included.
as well. Yeah, you know, something like that. But yeah, you read my mind on that one.
Yeah, I thought that was a good. I thought that would be a good choice.
Okay, so next, kind of in the same era of Snow White, this is my favorite Disney animated film, and this is Pinocchio.
Yes.
Again, from the Walt Disney Signature. This is the Target exclusive on this one, but Pinocchio is really, kind of a landmark in American cinema, in animation, and again, kind of in the more, high level view of cinema. I feel like Pinocchio really stands out.
Yeah.
Um,
And I was telling you, I think the new Disney Plus Pinocchio live action. I
yeah,
don't know. To me, I think since Disney Plus has done something with that, I don't know that the Criterion Collection would ever really want to touch that property because I don't know, for some reason it's getting a lot of bad reviews. I haven't got to watch it yet, so I'm definitely
yeah,
going to check it out for myself. But I don't know. To me, they're doing so much on these streaming services, straight to streaming, that I think
hmm
it's really hurting the market in a way where they take these classics like Pinocchio and then doing whatever it is that they're doing with them and kind of turning the audience against it. I wish they would
yeah.
tend to get away from that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I haven't been any kind of a fan of the live action remakes or
Right.
adaptations. Um, yeah, and I haven't seen Pinocchio either. I think we're actually planning on watching that with the kids tonight, and so I'll kind of see. It makes
Yeah,
for a good family movie night on a Friday night. But
right.
but yeah, I
Exactly.
mean, I'm I'm right with you. I expectations going in are definitely,
Yeah. Don't touch it.
yeah, yeah. But in terms of, you know Pinocchio, I mean, I have such adoration for this film. I mean, it's one I've seen countless times, and I love the story. It's really um, it's a difficult film actually if you start to
Mhm.
look, deeper at it. It's pretty, even a little bit, shocking in some senses, and
Very dark.
very gets very dark. But it's such a human story,
Hmm.
um, and in terms of its storytelling, definitely one that I could see in the collection. And um, so this and Snow White, in
Yeah.
terms of the kind of Disney animation library, I think would be way up there.
Yeah. So my next thought is really along the lines of The Nightmare Before Christmas is James and the Giant Peach.
Oh, sure.
Is another one that I could definitely see this on the Criterion Collection, just for the style and the story. To me, I think this right here would fit in very well. I don't really know that. I think this has kind of like a cult following. You don't really hear many people talk about this,
Right.
but the style and the animation is just wonderful on this, and even the story. I think this right here would fit along with the Nightmare Before Christmas. Mama, what do you
Yeah.
think of that?
Yeah. I like James and the Giant Peach. I like Nightmare Before Christmas better.
Oh yeah,
But I like James and the Giant Peach, and I agree it's one that's not talked about. I mean, it's certainly not talked about as much as Nightmare Before Christmas.
right,
I think it kind of flew a bit under the radar, even upon release in the
right.
mid, because that came out after Nightmare, but
Hmm.
before 2000. It was like late or mid 1990s,
Yeah.
where Nightmare Before Christmas was 93, and I think that was maybe 95, 96. But it kind of flew under the radar a little bit, and
Yeah,
it's
I don't
kind
think
of,
it didn't do very well.
yeah, it kind of plays, second fiddle to Nightmare, just because of pop culture and everything. I mean, fandom looks a lot more to like Nightmare's got,
Oh,
in terms of pop culture and just even like
yeah,
merchandising and things like that.
nothing for James and the Giant Peach, that's for sure.
No, but you see Nightmare Before Christmas all over the place.
Everywhere. Yes.
And I'm definitely one that's taken part in that as well. I've always been a big fan of Nightmare, but
Yeah. I've got my
yeah.
Jack Skellington shot glass
Oh, there you go.
here on my desk. Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah. Yeah, I love Nightmare. And yeah, I think James and the Giant Peach is a good pick as well. Um, so for the last one that I had that I wanted to talk about, this goes a little bit, it takes a little bit of a left turn. Um, there's some animation elements here, and this is another one. So this film was released in 1982, which was uh, a really big year in film. I mean, we had E.T. coming out at this time. You had Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and you had Tron.
Oh yeah, I almost picked Tron.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
We're on the same wavelength there. So, again, this is one where, in terms of integration of computer graphics and um, things of that nature, this is really there was a lot happening at this time.
Yeah. But
Um,
your dad involved in any of that?
I my dad was involved in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
That's right.
So he was he was involved with that, and so and it was just this crazy time in just computer graphics and kind of the integration into film, and Tron was just right there in the mix. And I think it'd be a cool candidate. I love Tron Legacy as well.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think this one would just lend itself a little more because this is really one of the pioneers of
Yeah.
again 3D graphics in film. um
Include them
but
both. That,
yeah, I was
right?
gonna say, hey, maybe we do a box set.
They go very
um yeah, but Jeff Bridges, I mean, just classic movie. I know this one has it's a lot slower pace. I totally understand that.
hmm,
But I really love this movie, and again, Tron Legacy, but
yeah.
offers some an interesting look at you know uh, film and everything at kind of in this time in the early 80s when this stuff was just brand new.
Which also makes me think about the black hole. Whenever I think of
Yeah,
Tron, for whatever reason, the black hole comes to mind.
yeah.
So yeah.
So if they're and we're talking, we've really talked animation here. um Certainly the Disney live action library too. What, like, we might as well, you know if we're going to go, let's go all the way. I mean, I'd love to see for me, one of my favorite uh Disney comedies of all time, I've talked to you about this one before, is the North Avenue Irregulars.
Hmm.
Something like that. Or and you have like Swiss Family Robinson, and some of these bigger, but like the North Avenue Irregulars, it's one of those where it's just enough offbeat. It's an offbeat comedy where I think it could lend itself well to something like the Criterion Collection, because Criterion tends to not play it totally straight. It's like, well, let's find stuff on the
Yeah.
edges,
Right.
and
Yeah.
North
Specifically,
Avenue.
people don't specifically stuff that people aren't too aware of. That's not really mainstream.
Yeah,
Of course,
yeah,
Wally, of course, is not in that category, but still, there's so much in the Criterion Collection that's never had any kind of physical release.
right.
So, yeah,
Yeah, and yeah. So I mean, that would be North Avenue Irregulars. Like, that's never seen a Blu-ray release. It's kind of stuck in the the DVD category at this point.
right.
Um, but it's fun to kind of speculate along those lines of, wow, that'd be cool to see. Yeah, Swiss Family Robinson, or some of the live action fare from Disney. But
Well, I had the same kind of thought. I was thinking along the lines of live action and thought of Mary Poppins.
oh, sure,
Me,
yeah,
of course, this is mainstream. Most people have heard of Mary Poppins, but
yep.
me, I could see that being a Criterion type title. Um,
Or maybe if you're going live action animation mixed, like Bedknobs and Broomsticks,
yes, yeah.
is Pete's Dragon
Dragon, which
is
I love, Peach Dragon.
a mix. Yeah. But yeah, it's fun to um, you know, are these likely to come to the collection? I'd still say at this point, obviously that's a no,
Right.
but it's fun to speculate on oh, if this did happen, what are, some of the titles you'd like to see? And so now maybe let's turn the question to the audience. If there were any of the Disney, and again, also Pixar, because obviously WALL-E's Pixar, if there was a Disney or Pixar title that would come to the collection, what would your pick be? Let us know in the comments, and let's kind of that might be a fun conversation to start in the comments.
Yep, I agree. I think that there's so many newer Disney titles that, I don't know. Are you a big fan of the newer stuff that they've been releasing, like Turning Red and just all of these? I know Encanto, all these. There's some really great ones, but then there's some that I just don't care much for. I didn't care. Turning Red wasn't one of my favorites, but I don't know. I just like to see Disney go back to some of the classic stuff.
I'm with you. I would love to see them go back and take this as an opportunity to, restore and preserve some of their classics, because Disney's obviously sitting on a huge, huge amount of classic titles. And, we won't go into this in this video, but this is also a possibility of opening the door to Fox titles.
Mm-hmm.
So, would we ever see Alien on, in the Criterion Collection? And obviously Fox is another just massive amount of titles. And so it'll be interesting to see. And I feel like we'll just kind of wrap up the video at this point, but it'll be interesting to see where this relationship goes. If this is something that balloons out into, a few releases per year, is this something that we're going to see, something once a year as kind of a special treat?
Yeah.
Nobody knows at this point, but again, it's just fun to speculate.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we'll just wrap it up there. But Tony, where can everybody find you online?
Yeah, so on YouTube, you can find me at Basement Blues. I'm also under Basement Blues on TikTok, on Twitter, and on Instagram. I do most of my posting on Instagram. So yeah, hopefully you can find me there and check out what I've been buying and adding to the collection.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, if you haven't been to Tony's channel, chances are if you're on my channel, you've heard of Tony. I mean, there's quite a bit of crossover there, but I'll be sure and leave a link to your social media stuff in the description. And yeah, let us know down in the comments what some of your picks for Disney Pixar films would be to enter the Criterion Collection. Very much looking forward to the release of WALL-E, coming up in November. There's a really great slate of extra features included on that release, including, I want to mention Leslie Iwerks. So Ub Iwerks, his daughter. So Ub Iwerks, if you're not aware, co-creator of Mickey Mouse, worked obviously directly with Walt. His daughter, Leslie Iwerks, filmed a documentary called The Pixar Story. And that is actually, so that was included initially on the initial Blu-ray release of WALL-E. I don't know if releases now are including that, but that documentary is on there. It's included as a supplement, and it looks like, and go to the Criterion site to reference this, but this is looking like it's definitely going to be a digipack release, if you want my opinion, because it's a 3-disc release, and the booklet that's included has several things, not only essays, but it's got actually excerpts from Andrew Stanton's sketchbook and things like that. So the details there just lead me to believe that this is going to be a digipack release, not just the standard, Skinovo keep case release. But we will see in a couple of months. It's coming out during Sell Month, which is another bonus.
Yes.
I'm sure. Well, I already know you and I are both going to be picking it up, but it'll be interesting to see how well this does. I think this thing's going to fly off the shelves, but we'll see. Only time will tell how this relationship progresses with Criterion and Disney, and it'll be interesting to see if that opens the door to them forming a relationship with any other studios, or it's kind of it's kind of one of those, if this can happen, anything can happen type of a thing. So we'll see. But yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. And until next time, we hope you're able to watch a lot of great films.